Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. We are Replicated, and we're happy you joined us to learn about what we do here and why it matters. So this is going to be a high-level intro to Replicated. If you're already a Replicated vendor or customer, probably not for you, but maybe always good to get an update. But what we're really looking at here is the opportunity to share with new people what we're all about and what problems we solve in helping vendors ship their applications to their customer environments. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk first a little bit briefly about the hidden pain of do-it-yourself software distribution. If you've been shipping applications to your customer environments, you may have learned some of this the hard way, but if you haven't yet started shipping to on-prem customers or VPC customers or self-managed environments, there's a lot of tricks you're going to learn and need to navigate as you go down that path. So we'll hopefully save you some pain on that way. Then we'll go into some of the different things Replicated can do for you. We'll talk about how to manage releases and customers for your application. We'll talk about how to install your app into Kubernetes clusters and customer environments. We'll talk about defining and installing your ideal Kubernetes distro, having a clear environment where you can run, even if your customer doesn't already have Kubernetes environments. And then we'll roll into how you can support your app efficiently, because we want to handle the full life cycle of applications and customer environments. So let's talk first about the pain. If you have already tried distributing software to your customers, you probably learned some of this, but the further down that road you go, the harder it gets. And people realize what sounds like a problem that can be easily knocked out in a weekend is much more complex, the more variability you get into. Here's a list of just some of the common challenges for software distribution. If you're not using Replicated, you need to be able to support your application in different clouds like AWS, GCP, Azure, and a dizzying array of instances. You need to be able to work your application in different Kubernetes platforms like Red Hat's OpenShift or VMware's Tanzu, and maybe even different operating systems could have an impact on how your application runs. You need to be able to support multiple tools and architectures to handle all those different complex environments. Sometimes you may have limited or zero access to ultra-secure air-gapped locations, but that's where some of the biggest customers want to run. So how do you meet them there? You might deal with back and forth with frustrating customers trying to get log files, trying to help them with install, trying to solve environmental challenges or variability. And that can definitely have an impact on your sales and long-term customer satisfaction. There might be rapid changes in Kubernetes itself or all its surrounding add-ons and components that affect your application, and you need to manage around that. There could be different configurations for ingress, for storage, other add-ons. There could be issues around how do you get patches to your application to handle CVEs quickly or see if they've been applied by your customers or how many of your customers. And dealing with all of this can really affect team burnout and fragility of your distribution tools over time. So lots of different things here. This is by no means a comprehensive list either. This is really what the point of Replicated is about, is don't try and do it yourself. We're going to help you get your application to your enterprise customers and support it there much, much more easily. So that's really Replicated's value. It's a unified platform. It brings everything you need to efficiently manage, distribute, install, support, and gain insights around how your applications are running in different customers' environments. And as Grant Miller, our CEO, says, we build the tools to enable thousands of vendors, deliver products for millions of enterprise users, deliver services to billions of people. We really see what we're doing here is transforming the way enterprise applications get run in customer control and customer hosted environments. Now, if you're an ISV, a traditional software vendor that's been shipping on-prem for a while, oftentimes we come to these types of vendors and they come to us and they say, hey, we want to modernize our software. We need to be able to run in modern Kubernetes environments. We need to be able to run in cloud environments, but we're not quite sure how to distribute our application to those. Sometimes they want to expand their market share. They want to be able to sell to new customers in new areas. Like I said, air gaps or different clouds or different environments that they weren't handling yet. And they really want to focus, though, on product innovation, not on building installers and tools. And here's some of the companies we've helped that have really made the migration this direction. Puppet's an example here where Abby says, we partnered with Replicated to accelerate our delivery of a cloud-native architecture for our products. Replicated gives us tools that hide some of the complexities of configuring, deploying, and running Kubernetes. This helps simplify our customers' experience with our product. And that's what it's all about. How do we make it easy as possible to get your software, your apps into your customers' hands and have it run smoothly for them? If you're a SaaS company, you might be going the other direction. You may have been delivering your application as a service, cloud-based, but increasingly getting customers asking, hey, can I run this in my own environment? I'm concerned about control. I'm concerned about how I'm going to manage it. So we're going to talk about how you can expand your market and win business in new environments outside of your SaaS. But how do you do that and still offer the same great experience everywhere? And how do you streamline your releases and support so that going to on-premise or customer managed environments doesn't delay functionality and doesn't give you a great burden of overhead? And again, here's some examples of vendors that have gone that direction using Replicated. So Alex of Waydev says, Replicated is helping us acquire more and more customers. We saved a lot of time and money by not building this ourselves. We're deploying the cloud version and the on-prem version of our software on nearly the same day. And again, that's a great example of what people are seeing when they work with us. But enough about that. Let's go deep into the technology and what problems specifically we're going to solve for you. Before I do that, I want to just kind of give you a quick orientation to what our platform is about, and then we'll talk about the various things it can do for you. So we have the vendor portal. This is a place where you as a software application vendor can manage your channels, releases, customers, define entitlements, licenses, everything you need to kind of set up how the customers will interact with your software and how they get it. We'll have install scripts that quickly help you install your application, install Kubernetes if you want it, install with Helm. If you need to deploy to a secure environment, you can get the files via our download portal that can go to put on any sort of transfer mechanism, a USB stick, SFTP, and then take it into that air gap. And then from an end user point of view, your customers will have an admin console where they can install apps, set configurations, manage the application, see its history, and share support information with you. Many of these functions can be managed directly with APIs, CLIs, if you want to add some more automation or just like doing things from the command line. But this is kind of an overview of the components of our product and what they do for you. What I really want to do is turn it on its head and say, what are the things you're going to be able to do that otherwise you'd have to do very manually or build some mechanism yourself, and not just build, but maintain that mechanism. So let's look into it. And these are the areas I said I'd go at. So first of all, you have software releases and you have different customers who want to have access to those. Let's show you different ways Replicated can help you manage that. So advantages here for the business are you can ship faster, you can reach more environments, you can get rid of that manual administration, you can drive adoption of new releases, you can monetize premium editions and features if you're based on an open core or have lightweight freemium type of model. A technical benefit, we're going to reduce the release complexity, we'll help you standardize configurations, we'll help you maintain environmental flexibility, work different places, work with proven tooling, and choose how do you want to manage those customer environments. So those are the benefits. Let's go through some of the functions. If you want to package a production application, your app should already be containerized for Kubernetes and architected to be cloud native. We can offer some advice there, but that's kind of the starting point for most of us. You can take those images, then upload to a public or a private registry, or you can use ours wherever you want to host those files and maintain them. And then define your app. Like how is it going to run with YAML manifests, Kubernetes operators, or Helm? So we pull these things together and give you a bundled package that then is easy to run and deploy in a customer environment. It's kind of pre-configured, ready to go. You just give them the command line and the license, and they're up one line to go, and they're up and running. So within that, obviously you have different releases, channels, versions. We help you segment those out, manage alpha, beta, GA. We can do semantic versioning to keep order of releases and make sure updates happen appropriately. We can integrate with your CI/CD methodology or link to your SaaS offerings so that they're deployed in lockstep. And we can promote new releases when they're ready to go. You promote them to a channel, and then it's available to customers who you've added to that channel. Similarly, you can define your application configurations. You can use basic or custom fields to specify the details of how that application runs. These are often configured in YAML. You can set up manifests or CRDs, custom resources, and define the order of operations for installing your application and running it so that the right things are in place in the right order and it gets configured correctly and automatically. We can define licensing. You can add new customers who are entitled to use your app. You can create community or enterprise license offerings and turn on or off different features for different editions and really manage who gets what as they use your application, which makes it really easy. You don't have to do a trust or a legal-based mechanism to manage who is able to use which versions of your application. You can also choose how you want to work. If you want to use our vendor portal GUI, you can manage releases there. Very easy to click around and add in the different fields, how it works. You can use your CLI controls if you want to script and automate some of these functionality. Say you're tying into like a CI/CD environment. Whenever a new release comes out, You could have it added and send customers a notification that's available. And you can also get visibility on adoption, how many customers are running different versions and how old is their average age of software in their environment. So different ways to interact with the product, but really understand how it's being used, how it's being adopted. So that's the first section. Second piece I wanted to talk about today is installing your app into customers' Kubernetes clusters. The assumption here is this is for those enterprise customers of yours who already are familiar with Kubernetes. They're already running Kubernetes clusters. They're comfortable with it. They're familiar. Maybe they have a specific configuration they want to run in. So all you need to bring to those customers is your application and its configuration. So what do we do here in this area? On the business side, we help you reach different customer environments. Obviously, there can be a lot of variability in how customers are running Kubernetes. We help speed up that install time into the different environments, increase your success rate for installs. This in turn reduces the burden on field engineers or even back office developers who get pulled in to try and troubleshoot what's wrong in this environment. It empowers the customers so that they can even self-install without having to know a lot about your application. Technical benefits are installed with a click or a cut and paste commands, taking out the user error there, eliminating common mistakes, making sure that the environment requirements are met in advance. What types of environments does your app run in? How much memory does it need? What type of storage? It can pre-check those types of things. Work with proven tooling and choose exactly how you want your customers to do their installation. There's some options there I'll go into. So basically what you're going to do here is specify the fields of how your application runs in different environments, like what types of instances in different clouds or what resources it needs. But you can use one installer for all these different environments. And that really simplifies management on your side. You don't need to have different installers for any possible combination of places people want to run. You can also then build in the best practices. And so field engineers don't need to adapt or change what they're doing live in the field to try and make it fit and try and bang that square peg into round holes of different environments. It'll run seamlessly in each of them. If your customers are running air-gapped locations, so no network connectivity, or at least no outbound or inbound network connectivity, depending upon how they have air-gap defined for them, we can give you those downloadable packages. This allows the secure transfer of your app into that environment. They can check it over before they install it. They can know the origin of the whole path of delivery, SBOM sort of model, and install everything with few preset commands. So even though you won't have direct access to that environment, you know that they're going to be able to get up and running quickly on their own. They don't need to figure it out themselves. And if necessary, we can support fully private image registries. So they can host versions of your application within their own environment, or you can set aside a secure area for them to pull software from. This is really important because air-gap can be some of the biggest, most lucrative environments if you're a vendor. Think of large government organizations, finance, pharma, other areas with really sensitive data will often require this type of delivery. And trying to address this without a tool or a mechanism that's defined to do it can be really, really challenging. So then you can choose your install method. A lot of our product is built today around something called COTS, Kubernetes off the shelf. And it's an open source capability that basically is a kubectl plugin. It can automate the install for you. One line there with kubectl will call COTS, and COTS will call the application, all the configuration files we defined. So you can set up a new Kubernetes cluster using curl if you want. Curl actually brings that cluster. I'll come to that more in a moment. Or integrate with Helm charts if you want to use Helm and have machine readable configurations. If your customers prefer Helm or you're comfortable with Helm, you can use Helm as the mechanism to deliver the application out to that environment and get it configured out appropriately. So different options there depending upon how familiar your customers are with Kubernetes, whether or not they already have Kubernetes clusters, and whether you or they are comfortable using Helm. Lots of different choices, but all within one platform. So an important part here also is being able to validate the requirements before you install. I mentioned this before, but defining what are the requirements for your app, what resources does it need, what type of ingress, what type of configuration. We can collect and pre-check that environment info in advance. We can specify what you need. We have some basic things, but you can write custom collectors, custom analyzers, and be able to really understand, is this app environment suitable? Is my application going to run and install and work correctly the first time? It's based on an open source technology, again, called troubleshoot.sh, and that helps you ensure success. We've seen others adopt troubleshoot themselves to run. For example, AWS has used it in EKS Anywhere, but it's really the underpinning of our ability to validate those requirements before we get going. On the customer side, we give them a branded GUI. For example, here, if you were Sentry, you could put your logo on the application. It would look like a piece of your software, so there wouldn't be concerns about what is this third-party piece in there. You could also just go with generic branding or replicated branding on there, but you can install from this with cut and paste commands. They can see what version of your application they want to install, copy that, deploy it in their environment. And if there are issues down the road and they do need to work with you on support side, we give them an ability to instantly collect support and log info. So you have everything you need when it's ready to go, time to troubleshoot, trying to understand what environment they're deploying in. If there are issues, it makes it much, much faster. It gets rid of some of that back and forth. But the admin console is really where your customers will interact with the installer and ongoing support for your application, be able to see versions and whether they're current and not too. Swimlane is an example here. They said before we started using Replicated, it took as many as 90 days to set up a production instance for customers. Today an SE could get it installed in less than 8 hours, and they win business against slower competitors. Customers start getting value a month or two earlier. So whether you're focused on time to sell and how much time are your field engineers spending getting customers wrangled and up and running, this makes that process much, much faster, or whether you want to get them into production and get them running again in that production environment so that they're using your application, they're using the features to the fullest. So let's talk about, what if your customers don't have a Kubernetes cluster? They aren't familiar with it. They don't know where they want to install. Maybe they have less hands-on experience here. That doesn't mean that they can't use this. What we do here is we give you the ability to define and install a Kubernetes distro that will support them. And so what this does is, from a business point of view, it helps avoid a common barrier to sales. It reduces the reliance on that customer being experienced with Kubernetes. It increases, again, your install success rates, reduces the burden on your field engineers to try and teach the customer Kubernetes or build a cluster for them, and simplifies your support, because then you kind of have known good cluster configurations. From a technical side, again, one line install from a terminal command. It can eliminate some of that variability of different Kubernetes clusters that can make it really hard to install and support your app. Again, make sure those cluster requirements are met from a environment point of view, not just an application point of view. Work with proven tooling, and then your application is going to be run in environments that you've tested, that you know are good. So first thing you want to do here is look at, how can Replicated help you? We have a lot of expertise in what we see work well for distributed applications or modern Kubernetes applications in different environments, how to make a cluster that we know will run well for your application. You can choose a proven Kubernetes version to underlie your app, decide which versions you want it to run on. You should upgrade those occasionally to keep current, and standardize the components to reduce the variability and risk. Then what you want to do is figure out what Kubernetes add-ons you want to include with that. What are the common projects that go alongside it? Things like Valero or Prometheus or OpenEBS, whatever additional pieces your application is going to expect to run in the environment. You can add storage, networking, observability tools, really whatever you need. And we'll maintain add-ons and make sure you have the latest upstream updates as well, so that they're avoiding CVEs, they're avoiding known issues, etc. Just keeping things current is a major challenge for many customers. So once you've done that, we can create a new Kubernetes cluster on demand, declaratively define how that cluster is going to run for your app. We'll run a curl command line here, which will use our curl, which is the Kubernetes, and help deploy that application into the environment. And we'll be able to support different cluster definitions with different app releases. So if different versions of your app have different expectations, we can coordinate those too, and just give you that one-line command to run for the environment. The last category I wanted to look at briefly here was supporting your app. So getting them installed, getting them up and running in different environments is kind of day zero operations. Day one refers to everything that happens after that point. And we definitely want to provide a lot of value here too. So we're going to help you reduce your support costs and support burden. We're going to avoid incidents around already fixed issues, help you solve issues faster, reduce the reliance on customers and their Kubernetes experience, and improve their satisfaction and confidence. From a technical side, we can patch CVs before they hit customers, gather all the info you need in one go, get rid of some of that back and forth, restore the app's last known good configurations, and get help and advice from our team. And again, working with proven tooling that we're maintaining for you. So keeping customers on the latest releases is important. You want them using the new functionality you're rolling out. You also don't want them hitting bugs or problems that you've already fixed. They haven't upgraded yet. So we give you the ability to see what versions of your app your customers are running. We can do one-click updates from their side if they are ready to upgrade. We can even automate those upgrades and again, use semantic versioning and say, okay, you're good to skip this version, but you can't skip that version if you're doing an upgrade, and apply the appropriate ones in order for updates and patches. So making sure that they don't trip themselves up by trying to skip too many versions if they're too far behind, or they don't have to do a bunch of extra updates that aren't necessarily necessary. So last thing in this area I really want to look at is getting the info you need to pinpoint these issues. What we can do here, this support bundle I referenced that was in the admin console your customers see, this helps you collect, if you want, redact logs. If they have sensitive info, take it out, and then analyze those customer application configurations, the log files associated, things around the environment. It really gathers everything you need in one go and makes it super easy. So oftentimes you see one of the biggest burdens in supporting customers is just getting the right information and having to go back to them and say, oh, I'm sorry, can you run this command and get me something else? Oh, no, that wasn't what I needed. Can you get something else? So like really accelerate support cases. What our own support team has found is we resolve issues up to 3 times faster, commonly 3 times faster, if they include a support bundle. So we make it super easy to provide everything you need. You can even build in customized checks and logic into your support bundles. Again, we can use troubleshoot here as the collector analyzer mechanism and really help you understand what's going on. So you solve customer issues and get them happier. That'll impact things like CSAT and NPS scores, hopefully. Reliability and high availability are also very important to customers. We can, with our product, set up snapshot backups of your application, the data associated with config info. That lets you then roll back updates if there are unexpected errors or breaking changes. Oh, wait, we need to go back to the previous version of our Space Force application here. And we can restore and recover everything using, again, open source tool Valero. So while you could cobble together these types of pieces yourself, one of the great things about Replicated is we've already done it all for you. We'll maintain it. We'll make it super easy to run and manage for your customers. Last thing really here is just counting on us for expert help. We have great engineers around our product. We're often cited as one of the better vendors out there for being able to quickly resolve issues and having an active community site. If you want, you can have 24/7 enterprise support offerings. We're looking at different ways to expand that and even help around Kubernetes, not just our application if necessary, and really just provide everything you need to make sure you have a backstop if your application isn't installing correctly or you're having troubleshooting issues. We can really help back that up for you. So there's examples of different customers we have, but I wanted to also share some of the resources we have. So these are all available on our website. You can look at the Replicated blog. You can look at different videos we have on YouTube or on our site. We have a model for adopting Replicated, which is a nice resource for some of the common design decisions you might face. We have self-guided labs if you want to get hands-on with the product, see how it will work, see how it would support you. We have different docs, of course. We provide a lot of project help and a lot of open source things out on GitHub, support. If you want to learn more about running here, you can use the Enterprise Ready podcast as a way to understand some of the challenges other applications are having or other vendors are having distributing their applications to customer environments. Kubelist looks at a lot of the Kubernetes open source projects, has some really great interviews out there. That's run by Mark Campbell, our CTO. And lots of different things. If you want to look into our research and customer demand for on-premises or read more about the hidden pain, I just wanted to share these all with you so you could see different types of information to go learn more. But that was my quick run through the Replicated platform and some of the functions it'll do for you, some of the problems it'll solve and how it'll help you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to hang out for a while and answer them, but really appreciate you taking some time to learn about us today. Have a great day.